Actually, two things come to mind which were triggered by the wonderful speech and the question that the lady asked. And from the standpoint of an artist, what do you do where you encounter people who have not been really exposed to beauty as you know it, and how do you show them, or how do you get them to start thinking in those terms? And the one thing that triggered the big thing, which our wonderful lady said, is you have to yourself get all of the ugliness out of your mind first, and then start taking on a thing of beauty and relate to those things that you feel are beautiful, that are contributing to man's soul, not to menial things of any sort. It will govern what you look at on TV. It will govern what you read. It will govern what you decide to participate in. And as a result, you find that beauty starts coming into you. And when beauty starts coming into you and consuming you, then there is no other way for you to react than to spread that to other people. And it's amazing how a youngster can look at you and see something in you that will make him say, what is that I see? It's sort of like people who say, oh, I can see auras. I can see an aura around a person. When I see them, they're this, they're that, and so on and so forth. This kind of a thing that I'm talking about is the core to which the artist responds when he is performing for you. I can no more sing to you a Heine poem without knowing or having experience, whether it be Schubert, Schumann, without knowing the poem itself and what Heine has put down on paper, or what Goethe has put down on paper. And that is part of art. The technique is perfectly simple. As we've said, I can teach you how to sing, I can teach you how to produce notes, I can teach you how to phrase, I can teach you how to correctly say the words, I can teach you all of these things. But all of those things are merely the tools to express the beauty that is inside you. And when you have that, then you are ready to communicate that to other people. Now, I'm not saying that one should sit themselves up and just don't do anything except that you say considers beautiful, or you've got to also be aware of what ugliness is, because you cannot avoid ugliness unless you kind of recognize the culprit when you see it. And as our wonderful lady has said, the oligarchy has so many ways of confusing you by surrounding things that seem beautiful. When you investigate, you find underneath its ugliness. And that is the big thing with us. We have to examine things. My father used to have said something in his sermon once that has followed me all of my days, and I was quite young at the time. He said the Bible says we should go into the hedges and highways. We should go out and we should bring men in, and we should, if a person is down, we should go down and pick them up and bring them up. And he said, I warn you, if you are going to go into a nightclub and see somebody there that you want to bring out, or you want to deal with a youngster that's doing dope, or you want to deal with any of the ugliness things of life, be sure when you go down there that you have the strength for two to come up. Because you have to come up and bring somebody with you. That's the strength of two. And this is the kind of a thing that I mean when I say we got to recognize evil, know what we're dealing with, and then how to combat it. And to me, it reminds me of a situation in which I was with Pablo Casals, the great cellist and conductor, and we were rehearsing something one afternoon, and it was a Bach cantata, and it was one of those things in which everything happened in the rehearsal, and we finished the piece and we just sat there in silence with a catharsis of having experienced something great that had come amongst us while we were doing it. And I looked up and the maestro had a tear rolling down his cheek, and he said, "Aren't we fortunate to be musicians?" I've never forgotten that moment, because he outlined for us the profession that we were in is a profession of calling and a profession of art and a profession that when you're in, you are closest to God, I believe, when you are performing, because you are a vehicle for that wonderful thing that we're getting from on high that comes through us and makes us a bigger person and makes us the vehicle to transport that to other people. But you have to be, as they say in television, online to get it. And I adjure you, get your act together so that you surround yourself with beauty, so that you surround yourself with an understanding of what evil is and how to combat it. And then when you look at a youngster who is out there on dope, you have something more to bring to him. You have the strength of two rather than yourself alone. Thank you.